Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we're going to look at how to rewire the brain of an entrepreneur. You're not going to want to miss this next segment. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team. And the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, as you know, I'm an entrepreneur. I was a television reporter for 25 years, went into the great abyss of entrepreneurship, and I meet a lot of entrepreneurs. And I know an entrepreneur who got burned a few years ago, lost a bunch of money, and it has forever made him timid when it comes to taking risks. Sometimes the entrepreneur's brain needs to be rewired. To talk about that, Dr. Alok Trivedi, he's known as Dr. Rewire. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, how'd you get the name Rewire?
You know, I started working with people and I started getting people better. I started this in practice and seeing patients, and all of a sudden people would say, oh, you're helping people. And then all of a sudden I got entrepreneurs coming down my world, celebrities, and then they just call it, you're the Dr. Rewire guy, you're the Dr. Rewire guy. It just kind of stuck. It just became a brand after that.
Well, you do a lot of speaking and you've written an amazing book. We're going to put the book cover on the screen, Chasing Success. Tell us about the book. Why did you write it?
So this book is actually really structured around, it's a fable, it's a story about, I think, what people go through in our journey as an entrepreneur. You want to chase success, you want to make more money, you want to get to the next level, but all of a sudden you find yourself always chasing another goal, never finding the path of fulfillment inside of it. So I wrote this book using neuroscience and scientific principles, but weaved it into a story that we can actually use in day-to-day application. And I actually, personally, I think it hits home for everybody who reads it.
Okay, now Warren Buffett famously said the way to make money is to be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. When you're talking to an entrepreneur, is this a time to be bold or be timid?
I think it's always time to be bold. And I say that cautiously bold is the statement that I'll use, because entrepreneurialism in itself takes you to be able to grow, to be able to take action that others won't. When it's a bear market, you're going to want to go ahead and move forward. When it's a bull market, you're going to want to move forward inside of it. But if you do it and you hedge your risks, psychologically, you'll prevent yourself from actually getting caught up in any of the chaos that shows up. Always be timid. I'm not saying no, cautiously timid, but always move forward.
Awesome. This man is an amazing speaker, author. He's been on every television show you can imagine. I found his sizzle reel. Let's go ahead and roll that.
So I need to take the responsibility for my life, and it's because of that.
Say that again? Did what?
I took the responsibility of myself and her life.
Say that again?
I took the responsibility of me and her life.
Stand up on your feet. Put your hand on your heart. And now say it again.
I took the responsibility of me and her life.
Dr. Alok Trivedi,
the author of this book, Chasing Success, joins us. A human behavior and national stress reduction expert. Dr. Alok Trivedi is Dr. Alok Trivedi. He's the founder of Alive Performance Institute.
I'm Dr. Alok Trivedi. If you're a frustrated business owner who's been trying to grow your business and scale fast, then you're going to want to sit back and relax and enjoy the ride. Because over the next 20 minutes, I've made this documentary just for you.
I am so grateful that he is doing exactly what he's doing with his life, because it is awesome what I've seen him do with people.
He changed everything. I started clearing a lot of those feelings I had of guilt and shame or resentment.
when I think about the work that you've done with me and how it's really helped me to be grateful in any given circumstance, these 4 Emmys right here, half of them are yours.
There's a new class of business where people are using their information to grow their business without using the old, outdated models that many people fall prey to.
And how do you explain what you do?
Grab a notebook, let's get to work. I'm Dr. Alok Trivedi.
The idea that you can reorient the way that you think about business, the way you think about your mission, the way you think about how you live your values in the life, flipping it, all of a sudden this big aperture opens.
It's just like I can see it all.
The world looks completely different after that moment.
The biggest fear you struggle with is not feeling enough. Not feeling like you've actually made a difference, no matter how much success you've attained.
Those inner wounds that were stopping, preventing me, that self-doubt that I wasn't able to really commit or believe or have the confidence in my business ideas.
You struggle with the fight inside. Mentally not feeling enough. Business-wise never achieving enough. Finances go up and down and you live on the roller coaster of money, but never really continually growing and building wealth. And you're probably someone who works really, really hard, but you're not breaking through that invisible ceiling. So often, I think people lie to themselves, thinking that it's going to be better, that they've got everything under control. But maybe on the inside, just maybe, you're asking yourself the question and saying, do I really have it figured out, or am I BSing myself?
Wow, I am so inspired. And I would dare to say it doesn't matter how successful you are, you still have that inner monologue that could be telling you a lie. And I'm going to use Elon Musk as an example.
Sure.
I don't know him. He's a brilliant innovator and disruptor. But I think he was worth something like $250 billion, lost $100 billion inside of like 3 months.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
You know, I have to imagine he had moments of self-doubt as well. So do you ever arrive, and what's the secret to getting there and being, peacefully successful?
Yeah, I don't know if you ever really arrive anywhere, right? I think we all kind of get to this destination. As an entrepreneur, you get into the world of entrepreneurship because you're trying to get out of the world that you've been in, right? You're frustrated, you're pissed off, for lack of better words. You don't like to be where you are, and you want to create something on your new. But most people really jump into the world of entrepreneurships as owner-operators. And they eventually get to the point of burnout in that, right? And Jeff, like you sit and say, like you work really hard, but you realize you're the one working. You've created yourself a job inside that. So entrepreneurs so often get burned out from that capacity because they think it's going to lead to freedom, but it actually leads to 10 times more work. But the idea that you're ever going to arrive is actually, I think, quite a big delusion. It's a matter of just understanding that if we can understand ourselves to be present at every moment as an entrepreneurial journey, we're able to grow much more. There's an interesting quote that my son actually sent to me. It's about sports, but we can paraphrase this in entrepreneurship. And in the essence of paraphrase it is that when we continue to do things well, we want to replicate that again and again and again. But it's impossible to replicate exactly what you did again. And when we don't do things well, we want to run away from that experience that we had that prevents us from actually being in pain. So instead of trying to chase the high of the joy and the low of the pain, if we can just understand to let that go and be present in the experience that we're in right now as an entrepreneur, we're able to actually let go of that. It's the emotions as an entrepreneur that prevent us from actually moving forward and keeping us stuck. I like to say this, is that whatever you resent from your past, you end up resisting. Whatever you give guilt to in your past, you're going to give away your wealth to. So for example, if you have resentment towards a past business partner, past employee, to yourself because maybe you made a poor decision on a business, you're going to resent yourself, and whatever you resent, you're going to resist moving forward. So that creates entrepreneurs to prevent making money, creating new income sources. And if they have guilt towards something, and this is big for parents, they have this parent guilt and being an entrepreneur. If you have guilt, you'll give away your wealth to your kids and to family, and you'll never hold on to it. The true secret, what I found to wealth and entrepreneurship, is to be able to have self-worth and net worth kind of simultaneously.
Yes, and not repeating the same old loop in your head. I'm a big fan of Ted Lasso, and he says to his soccer players, be a goldfish. Okay, you messed up.
That's right.
Think about it for about 5 seconds and then be a goldfish.
Be a goldfish. My son's a big soccer player, so we watch that show all the time.
Yeah, it's brilliant business. People think it's a sports, documentary. It's really a business documentary. I urge you to follow Dr. Rewire's social media channels because he comes up with these great tips. Here's one of them.
Give me some examples. What are some of the first steps when I say, okay, I'm aware, I've got this problem. You're saying that just trying to find a new behavior, trying to take a new action may not be enough. I need to rewire my mindset. What are some of the ways I can do that? Is it reading? Is it listening to things? Is it meditation? Give me an example.
It's none of those. And it's all of those. I'll tell you that.
It's none and it's all. I love it.
It's none and it's all, because those things are all things that have been done in the past, and people do that, right? It's like, we've heard this from the personal development industry. You got to get up at 4 a.m, 3 a.m, and then you realize, why do you even go to bed?
Cold shower plunges.
Yeah, it's like, all right, all that is great. Like if you're trying to lose inflammation, it's all fantastic. But to rewire your brain, you first got to become cognizant of what you're thinking, right? You got to know what you're thinking about and where it's stemming. You got to ask yourself the question, what did I do? What happened the night before, the day before, that's actually causing my body to get this feedback?
I love it. I could watch you for hours. Where do you come up with your wisdom? Are you learning from other entrepreneurs, or where are you getting?
I study all the time. I'm a perpetual nerd. I like to sit and say, I read all the time. I study all the time. But I started my career as a chiropractor, and first a physical therapist, and then went to chiropractic. And then I kind of realized I have this unique, holistic perspective. I think that most healers and doctors and that don't. And I've been able to, as an entrepreneur, to work on it for my own brain and my own life. And so I put the pieces of it together for myself, and I look at it from my own vantage point. How do I better myself? And so I just kind of put it together and analyze it and study it. And I think it makes sense the way that it does, because most people are searching for answers, I think, in a boxed loop, as we call it, right? You're continuing to search the same thing, and you go to continual seminars, you do personal development things, you do them again and again and again, but the answers don't change. So you got to ask yourself the question, is what I'm doing strategically working? Statistically from Stanford, if you're trying to change your goals, your habits, or your behaviors, or your beliefs, for example, you only change 33% of them, ever. So 67% of people who are just trying to change their psychology by changing their beliefs never get there. So I had to go find the neuroscience path to be able to heal myself. And once I figured that out, then I continue to study more, and I want to be able to help people the best I can and get them to the core source of where their ailments begin.
And you said your background is in healthy living. It's critical. Self-care is a big deal. I know a lot of entrepreneurs who are burning the candles at both ends and in the middle, and they're not getting enough sleep. You can tell they're overweight. Yeah. Tell us about the importance of taking care of yourself.
It's everything. If you want to have energy in entrepreneurialism, you got to have energy, right? Like, I like to sit and say, the guy who has the most energy is going to win the game of entrepreneurialism. And if you don't have energy built up inside of you, what you're going to do is you're going to fall apart when it becomes stressful. Your body's not going to be able to maintain it. And all of that shows up in your business. But what we do is we go to the doctor and we say, hey, look, the doctor says you have high blood pressure, you're malnourished, you have diabetes all of a sudden. Those things people don't realize are actually stemming, as an entrepreneur, from your business. But you'll never blame your business, and no one ever correlates that. I'm one of the few people in the world that I know that's correlating this journey of entrepreneurialism and health, because you can go out and take a bunch of peptides and all these ancillary things from the outside, but we all know that they have side effects. But what if you can change them and change your thinking and rewire your brain to maximize your performance in your health, and it relates to greater income in your business? Ultimately, I think that's why we're here.
Wow. Thank you so much. I'm just thrilled that you came on the show. We're going to have you back again soon. We'll end with the website, which is drrewired.com. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. Appreciate it.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.